When you think of the Ahlul Bayt and you think of their mercy and how giving they are, and they just give and give and give, it always makes me think that the Ahlul Bayt are so merciful. They're just giving all the time. And my Creator is most merciful. So I cannot even think of the mercy of Ahlul Bayt. But at the same time, I cannot comprehend the mercy of my Creator, which is far greater. And that realization in itself is so humbling. I think I'm beginning to think that that realization is the formula to try and kill the ego monster. This constant state of realization of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has basically blessed you so much, and you are not worthy of receiving this blessing. You are not worthy of this. And alhamdulillah, it's become, since knowing Imam Ahmad, since knowing that he's the Yamani Ahlul Bayt, since knowing that, it's become like a daily realization, a daily sort of like, I walk around and it's like an electric shock, and I just think to myself, alhamdulillah, I know this. Alhamdulillah, I know about my Imams. Alhamdulillah, I know about the Ahlul Bayt. Because I see around me people who know and who don't know. And the ones that know, they don't want to know more. It's like, okay, if you believe that, that's fine. Believe it. We won't believe until some ulama tell us, until some scholars tell us, and you just sort of think to yourself, alhamdulillah, I don't think like you. And that realization is so humbling, because you just think to yourself that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has truly, truly blessed you. Like He blesses those He wills, He has blessed you. He has blessed me with this realization. Alhamdulillah, I cannot thank Him enough. At the same time, I think of the Qaim, and I think how for 1100 years he's in Ghaiba, and he still helps people. He will still help you if you call him. I've called him several times, my whole life. I'm crying, upset about something, and I just say, Adrikni ya sahib zamana. My situation, help me. And I beg at their door, and I will continue to beg at their door until the day I die, even though I'm not worthy. And that's what just like throws me back, because I just think to myself, how beautiful are the Ahlul Bayt? How beautiful are our Imams? What a mercy they are for us. What a mercy they are for mankind. He's in Ghaiba, but he still helps you. You call him and he still helps you. Alhamdulillah, there's a children's story which I absolutely love now. I've only just read it recently, and it's significant to me because of what happened a couple of days ago with me, which I will tell you, which I'll tell you in a bit. But it talks about how it's a children's story, and talks about how the Imam helps people. And it says, the heat of the sun burned the surface of the desert and made it actually impossible for any living thing to carry on. He missed his caravan and didn't know the way. Wherever he turned, he saw the endless desert. He lost his patience because of the great thirst, and felt himself somehow on the verge of death. He thought for a while and said to himself, I must die. Those vultures over my head and these ants are all after my dead body. There is no way out, and death is irresistible. Suddenly he came to himself by the neigh of a horse. Then he gathered all his power to open up his eyes and look at the horizon. Suddenly he saw a handsome young horseman who was coming toward him. He said to himself, is it an illusion? Am I dreaming? Is he really coming to help me? The horse approached and gave him a bowl of water. He drank it up and said, what a fine water! How cold and sweet it is! Who are you, old man? You actually rescued me. The stranger answered, it is me who shall fill the world with justice. This is me. Allah's true reason and proof for his servants. I am Allah's remainder. All at once the man began to tremble. He felt himself as a drop before an ocean of firmness and generosity. The 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi a.s, then told him, "Close your eyes." He closed his eyes, and when he opened them, upon the Imam's command, he found himself in front of his missing caravan. The moment he really came to and looked around to thank 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi a.s, he found that the Imam Mahdi, may God hasten his glad advent, was gone and disappeared. Subhanallah, the Imam helps us even in Ghaiba, because he is the Imam, Alhamdulillah. There's many stories of people getting lost and the Imam helping them, guiding them back. And why it's significant to me, or why I love that story so much, is because a couple of days ago I started a new job in a different town in England, and I was basically driving back from work. My petrol was at the end. I thought I would make it back into my city for the time, I would make it back in that time, to basically come back and fill up my tank. But what ended up happening was that I've been on this route before, but what ended up happening this time was somehow I took a wrong turn and ended up going so far away from where I was supposed to be going. I was just so lost, and I didn't have my dad's telephone number, and I was just going further and further. The sat nav on my phone wasn't working, and it was just I was just completely lost. I was going to a completely different city, into a completely different town, and I was just completely lost. I ended up stopping my car and asking a woman, and I was which way is it to this town, whatever, and she's you're going in completely the wrong direction, turn your car around and drive back, keep going that way and you'll see signs. So I went that way. I still was lost, and where I live in my city, there's a lot of greenery. It's not like a city. There's a lot of greenery. Yorkshire, where I'm from in England, is green. It's known for fields and stables and farms and whatnot. There's a farm behind my house. There's a stables behind my house. And there was just hills of greenery, and I was there was no people. It was just winding roads, and I was so lost. My needle was getting closer and closer and closer to the end line, the petrol needle. I was just thinking to myself, if my car stops here, how am I gonna leave it here? How am I gonna walk back to civilization? How am I gonna get out of here? I don't have my dad's number, and how am I gonna leave this place? I was just completely lost, and I was just thinking to myself, how am I gonna get out of here? And I just started to call the Imam. I just kept saying to him, it was I was on the verge of, I think I actually even did cry, actually. I was so tired, such a long day, running around and stuff and doing things, and I was completely exhausted, so tired, banging headache, very, very hot, extremely thirsty, petrol's about to run out, and lost in the middle of nowhere. I was just saying to the Imam, Ya Ahmed, adrikni. Ya Ahmed, help me get back, please, I beg you. I was just crying over and over and over again. And I kid you not, I'm completely lost in the middle of nowhere. Within a few minutes, right, I see signs for my town, and I don't know if I'd been on that road before, nothing looked familiar, but somehow I ended up in my town, in my city, minutes away from my house. and I was in the middle of nowhere, and somehow I ended up near my house. My petrol, the needle, I swear, the needle was like right at the end. The car was about to like finish, just go off. Just the petrol was about to run off the car. I was just expecting it to just say that, you're completely out of petrol, that's it, you're done. But somehow, with like the petrol needle right at the end, with like extremely little petrol running out, I end up in my city minutes away from my house, with like and I just kept saying thank you to the Imam all the way home. I just kept like thanking the Imam over and over and over again, because it's not the first time that he's helped me. It's not the first time the Ahlul Bayt, I have called them. I remember, Alhamdulillah, the Ahlul Bayt are truly a mercy for us. Truly, they are a mercy for mankind. They just give, and it just blows me away how giving they are. It just completely blows me away, and I will continue to beg at their door until the day I die. I will continue to beg at the door of Ahlul Bayt. I remember this past winter. I mean, a lot of people ask me all the time, what does Mawla Ali Waris mean? Because I sign everything with Mawla Ali Waris, or I say, whatever, if something is happening or whatever, I just say Mawla Ali Waris. Mawla Ali Waris means I leave my matter to Ali, because Ali is the righteous inheritor. So I leave it to him. My situation is with him. It's in his hands, and he will guide me. I truly believe, I've said it for I don't know how long, that I've called on Ali my whole life. I always ask him, because I know the truth is with him and he is with truth, and they will never be separated. And he is my Imam. I would die for him, die for the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. So I remember this past winter was so awful in England. We were completely snowed under, and it was just impossible to do anything for days on end. Loads of things were closed, roads and stuff, and it was just chaotic. And it was Muharram, in the winter it was Muharram, and my car, the heater was out. I don't know if this plugs or spark plugs or whatever, but the heater was out, and it wasn't working, and I was meaning to get my car to the garage, but I knew that if it was going to go there, I don't know when I would get it back, because we were so snowed under, and it would take like however many days. It wouldn't take hours, it would take days. So I kept like putting it off, but at the same time, it was Muharram, and I wanted to go to the Majalis, as much as I could. I wanted to go, especially in the first 10 days are extremely important. And I would basically, like, there was no heater in my car. Like, I would go there like shivering. And in Muharram, or whenever it's the death of an infallible, I don't wear shoes when I go to the Imam Barga. I know a lot of people do this in Muharram. You don't wear shoes. You go barefoot to the Imam Barga, because our Imam died on the plains of Karbala in the sweltering heat. So I refuse to. I do it with any Masum. Refuse to, wear shoes when I go to the Imam Barga. So basically, when we park, because there's so many people go to the Husainiyat, so basically you have to like park further down as well. And so alhamdulillah, it's a tiny small thing to do, but basically what would happen was that it would be extremely cold, and I kid you not, like my teeth would be clattering together. It would be that cold, and my car would be covered in like snow, so I'd take the snow off. Like, I would use antifreeze, and I swear to you that